Welcome to Fathers and Daughters, a podcast where we discuss important topics and current issues from a biblical perspective that are relative to fathers and daughters.
Please subscribe and email us at fdpodcast@yahoo.com with questions or episode topic suggestions. Hi.
Hi, ready?
Yeah. You're so weird. Why was that funny?
I don't know. This is episode 5.
Holy crap, no way.
Episode 5, yes. So thank you for all of our 2 listeners out there.
Aww.
What?
That was so sad.
Well, no, really, thank you for
all 2 of you.
All 2 of you who take the time to listen to our podcast and spend some time with us every week.
Yeah. Shout out to David Sutherland, who messaged me this week and just said how much he loves our podcast.
Oh, he messaged you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It made me a little emotional. I read it and I was like, oh, that was so cute.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I thought that was really sweet.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm being louder today because people have told me that.
Yes, you're not very loud.
That I'm not very loud.
I appreciate that. I think it's because I have a very loud, domineering voice.
Yes.
You don't.
No, I'm very soft-spoken.
You're very soft-spoken. You talk a lot. Don't get me wrong. You're just softer spoken.
Yeah, but I hope that was good while you were growing up because I was not a yeller, right?
No, you weren't a yeller.
I mean, how many times did you hear me yell? Once, maybe?
You exclaim a lot. Like you will be loud, but it is never to intimidate or to strike fear into. It is always just to celebrate something or to be funny or to you exclaim like you are loud. Don't get me wrong. Whatever. It's in love. It's never to yell at me.
Right. Well, yeah. I'm just soft spoken overall. I noticed that when I'm at the academy and some of the other RTOs are loud and yell, and I can't do that.
No.
Like I'd rather you know that I'm looking at you. And let you know that you're in trouble just by me giving you a stare.
Oh yeah, you're in the dumps look is
right.
Not cute and not something anybody wants to ever see. Those of you out there who have been mentored by my dad, you know the look. You know the look of like your eyes get really wide and your nostrils flare out. And I'm like, oh, wow, steam's going to start coming out of this man's ears.
Well, and just the look of disappointment, right?
Yeah,
I had someone tell me that they knew they were in trouble when I gave them that I'm disappointed at you look. I try to do that with you a lot growing up.
Cool.
But I don't have to do it very often. Is that because I'm the avoider?
You're very passive-aggressive. When you're angry, you're very passive-aggressive.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think so.
Should this podcast be on conflict? It's not on conflict. It's about on something else. But
yes.
that actually was my suggestion for the next podcast, was for it to be on conflict.
Oh, I like that.
I like that too. So we'll get into this kind of stuff later. But point of it being, you need to be louder.
Yeah, I would like to share with people how we handle conflict. While you were growing up, and
sure.
Is that what you want to?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Just like our personality types and the sermon series my church is going through. Our last week's sermon was about conflict, and I loved hearing about how different people types deal with conflict. And I'm very direct when I'm like heated. Mm-hmm. When it's other people, when it's very inner circle people of mine, it takes a lot for me to put it out there. Yeah. But when I do, it comes out in flames. So it's just things like that. I like to bottleneck my emotions until they come out in one giant flare out. Because I don't like to talk about my feelings. And so it just kind of, I don't know. I think having a good episode on conflict will be fun.
But going back to people listening to our podcast, I was telling Mom the other day that I really don't care if people listen or not. I mean, I do because I want people to get to know us, and I hope that we can help someone with their father-daughter relationship, mm-hmm. even if it's just one person or one, father and one daughter.
Sure.
That's great. But the reason why I want to do our podcast and why I want to do this with you is because I want to record and I want to save what our relationship was like. Because I did not get to know either of my grandfathers.
Yeah.
And I want my grandkids to know what our relationship was like. Like if I'm not...
Planning on dying next week? Or?
No. Well, you never know.
Yeah, that's fair.
You never know.
It's so weird to me to think that, like, my kids might listen to this one day. How freaking weird is that?
But it's cool because I wish I knew what my grandfather sounded like. I wish I knew what the relationship was with my parents. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could have met one of them, and just, I don't know. But that's the main reason why I'm doing it.
Good. Well, I'm so glad.
Yes.
I'm doing it just because I like spending time with you.
Well, that too.
Okay, cool.
But, yes.
Are you kidding?
What? What are we going to talk about today?
Stop with your sound effects?
What are we going to talk about today?
Oh, my gosh.
Today we're going to talk about cell phones.
Oh, my gosh. You're so extra.
I thought we could talk about cell phones because I think last week or the week before, I saw a post on Facebook from my friend Aaron. I think he was asking what would be a good age to give a daughter a cell phone. Oh. Or I think he said, I gave my daughter a cell phone and I'm not sure if is the right age. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be a good topic for us to talk about.
Heck yeah.
Even though when you were little, cell phones were a lot different.
When you were little, cell phones were
non-existent.
Not a thing.
Did you know that growing up, I did not have a phone at my house?
I did know that.
Until I was probably like 8 years old.
You had to go down to the market to make a phone call.
Right. We had to walk down to the abarroteria, which is the little neighborhood market, and we would have to use the phone. And when I was 8, then they started paving the roads and they started bringing phone lines in. And that's when I was first exposed to a phone. And it's kind of weird because, kids today don't realize that there was a point in time when we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
And back then it was a landline. Cell phones were definitely not a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cell phone until it was issued to me by work. And I think I was in my early 30s maybe. Mom had a phone when she was 18 because she was the rich Orange County girl. So, I got to experience cell phones when I met her, but I didn't have my own cell phone until several years later.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first cell phone was?
I do. I remember it was a vertical flip phone. So it wasn't one of the ones like the horizontal flip. It was one of the vertical flip ones. It was ugly as all heck. And I didn't have like a full keyboard, so I had to do the like 1, 1, 1, 1 to like get to the next letter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we did that for a long time.
Yeah, that sucked. I hated that. I always wanted one of the slide phones.
Yeah.
The flip phones, because I was like, oh, it looks so
like
much
one
easier.
was ABC, two was
DEF or whatever. Remember the alphabet?
Kind of. And your mind just kind of programmed itself, and there were times when we could do it without looking, right? Because you knew how many clicks it was at, different buttons.
So I was at Disneyland a few weeks ago with some friends, and we go regularly just to be in community with each other and to hang out, whatever. And we actually got on the topic of like what our first cell phones were. And we went around and everyone kind of shared what their first cell phone was, and they were all kind of the same. Everyone kind of had like a really crappy phone the first time, and everyone was like, oh, I had this, I had that, I had this, and I shared mine. And one of my friends, Beth, she was like, oh, I remember those phones. She's like, I just now like read an article where I learned like a secret to not having to like wait until, so if you wanted to hit D and then, or you wanted to hit C and then A, you had to click 3 times for it to get to C, but then you had to wait until the line stopped blinking,
right,
until you could hit the same number again. She's like, I would hit space and then hit back, and it would save time for me having to like wait until the line stopped blinking. And my mind was just blown. Like the 13-year-old inside of me was like, what? I wasted valuable milliseconds waiting for the stupid line to stop blinking. Anyway, so yeah, I had this nasty little flip phone. That was back when we had like minutes, and there was no such thing as like unlimited data or whatever. Like I had a certain amount of minutes on my phone that you had to do, and it would tell you like you have reached so and so minutes. And I was always terrified of like reaching the minute limit, so I always waited until like I wouldn't use very much. I only used my cell phone when I needed it. That, and I wasn't a very friendly person, so I didn't have very many friends who had phones, and I was one of my friends to have phones.
What do you mean weird. You weren't friendly? You've always been friendly.
I've always been friendly. I don't know. I didn't have very many like close, like you were really close to someone when you texted them. You were if you were texting someone, here I'm gonna open your eyes a little bit. If you were texting someone, you were either texting your best friend or the boy that you liked. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you didn't just text your acquaintances. It wasn't like a thing. At least it wasn't for me. Could be for other people who go to other schools or whatever. But for me, it was like you were either texting a boy that you liked or you were texting your best friend. Boys didn't like me. So that was that. And I had one best friend that I would text. And I had a phone before all of my other friends did. I was one of the first ones to have a cell phone. So, yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I was always terrified of breaking it, too. I carried that thing around like it was glass. And then it would break at any second. And, oh, my gosh, I was just terrified of dropping that thing.
Yeah. I don't think it was that boys didn't like you. I think that boys knew that you were kicked their butt if they
I intimidated boys.
Yeah.
And I feel as though I still do. But, yeah, I didn't text any boys.
How old were you when you got your first cell phone?
Oh, maybe 11, 12?
I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly. I had to have been just at least 11 or 12. The iPhones weren't a thing. Maybe the first one had come out. I don't even know. But everything was these. What was the one that flipped? Like this mom had the Razr. The Razr phone.
The Razr was
those were the bee's knees, man.
When
Everybody
yeah.
wanted a Razr phone. I remember mom had this hot pink Razr phone. I remember the day that she got it. I don't know why I remember this so vividly. I remember the day that she got it and she pulled it out of the box and we're at home and she's like, looked at this Razr phone. I remember looking at my crappy little red vertical flip phone and I was like, this is crap. Like, this sucks, man. I was so upset by it, but I was really excited she got a Razr phone.
Yeah.
My grandma also had a Razr phone. That was like the thing. Now that you say it, I never realized you didn't have a cell phone until it was issued to you.
Right.
Your first one was the silver flip phone, wasn't it? Was that yours or mom's?
That was mine, but that was not my first phone. Those were the Nextel ones that you could chirp people. But before that, I had the old Nokia phone. That was, I don't know, it was just long and ugly. And that's what I used for work. And I really didn't need another phone at the time because there was nothing else to do than call.
Yeah.
Later on, I got another phone for personal use, but it was one of those phones too that all you could do was call and click 3 times if you wanted to find a letter. But when Apple came up with the iPhone, that was a game changer, big time game changer because now you couldn't just call, but you had complete access to
the internet, really. I mean, you had access to the internet on other phones, but it was never accessible like this.
Nothing like that. And then the phone replaced the camera, the video camera, your planner. Especially nowadays, everything is on your cell phone. I was telling you the other day that in the late 90s, I used to carry a big, I think it was the Franklin Covey planner, and it was a thick thing, and that's where I wrote all of my stuff. That was my calendar. That's where I kept my notes. And now you can do everything on your phone.
I used to carry one of those too. I used to carry this big, like, chunky planner that would have cards and notes and all these different things inside of it. And once I started working at Sandals, everything at Sandals is based off Google Calendar. Everything. And so now it's an app on my phone. My notes, I can take meeting notes on it. I can do pretty much everything on my Google Calendar. And it's a really, really awesome convenience for sure. Yeah.
No, I'm just glad I didn't have a cell phone like this when I was younger, because I would have gotten in trouble so much. Like, I really feel bad for the kids growing up now with the phones because they have so many challenges. And it's so easy to get in trouble. It's so easy to look at bad stuff. It's so easy to
bully other people.
Get bullied or bully other people. It's so easy to just be mean and nasty online. I mean, sometimes we do it as adults, but for a kid to be able to do that and have the ability to do that so easily is kind of sad. So with that, how involved should parents be with their kids when it comes to the usage of a cell phone?
So I don't know if you knew this. I'm actually writing a sermon series for the youth group at our church that will launch sometime next March. And it's actually called Technologic. And it's tech and then no in big red words and then logic, meaning that we have no logic through technology.
Yeah.
And the sermon series is about sexting and cyberbullying and pornography and all of these different things that got kids like me in trouble in high school and got a lot of my friends in trouble and a lot of things I'm seeing wrong in youth nowadays. I had no idea. I was never opened up to the world of sexting. That wasn't a thing for me. I was opened up a little bit into the world of cyberbullying through high school, but I don't know, sexting just wasn't really a thing for me and my friend group when I was in high school. And listening to some of the stories that have come out with people that I know over sexting issues, it just blows me away. How quickly things like that spread through wildfire. How things like Snapchat have become so just detrimental to society because as much as we don't like to believe it, there are some things that we see that will resonate with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And there are memories that we have as kids that I'm sure just slight little flashbacks or just like if you close your eyes and picture something from your childhood, it just like blinks. That's what things like that do because they're monumental changes in your life. And being opened up to the world of cyberbullying and those things like that. So the sermon is really about arming yourself with the armor of God and equipping yourself and watching what you feed through your eyes and watching what you say, even if it's not with your mouth.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited about it. I'm in the process of writing it right now. I'm working with our director, Justin Knowles, right now to work out all the details. I've never written a sermon before. I've never written a series before. So it was really cool. We had like a planning day and I pitched the idea and people really liked it. So
that's really cool. Something that I was going to bring up or something that's obvious is that how do we talk about phones in the Bible at the same time? Or how do we bring in the Bible when we talk about cell phones? Because Jesus obviously didn't have cell phones back then, right? The internet was non-existent and these tools that we have now were non-existent back then. But all of the principles about how to live life still apply because this is just another tool, right? Sure. It's just like I think people could do the same damage, writing a letter to someone and being mean and ugly and then throwing it in the mail, right? Then texting someone right now. I remember growing up and I was exposed to pornography very early in life. And like you're saying, once you have those images in your head, they just stay with you and they flip a switch that is not supposed to be flipped that early in life. And back then, all that stuff, it was a lot harder to get because you went to the video store and those movies were behind the curtain. You went to the liquor store and those magazines were behind the counter. So they were not as easily available as there are now. But now on your phone, you can just pull it up anytime as long as you have access to the internet. And you don't have to have anything special. You don't have to go to paid sites or anything to
have access to it.
Have access and find out anything you want to find out. And everything is out there. And
it's a big industry. It's a multi-million-dollar industry, and it's scary that it's so easily there. And I don't know, it's weird. It's weird to think that it's so available for everyone, and it's so easy to get in trouble with it so many times. And it's the same with sexting. It's like I feel like people forget that when you put it out there, it's out there. You don't know who you're sending it to. You really don't know someone because you're giving them something so personal and so vulnerable of yourself, and you never know what that person's going to do with it.
Right.
And now it's out there for the world to see. It's always going to be out there, and it's the same with cyberbullying too. I mean, I had a friend in high school who was cyberbullied so bad to the point where someone on social media told her to go kill herself, and she contemplated it. And I found her in the bathroom of the school. Like in the bathroom of my high school, sobbing her eyes out, telling me she was going to kill herself. Like that stays with you. That doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
And I've just seen way too many youth be crushed about the fact that they've been cyberbullied, that someone has hidden behind a screen and told them to go kill themselves. It just boggles my mind. It's such a lack of human life. And I wanna speak a little bit to kids who might be going through these things. Is that there is healing in these things. There's redemption in these things, and there's support there for it. But these things are a habit that kicks into your brain because endorphins are released when these things happen that make you want it more the next time. That's literally what addiction is that little things are released inside your brain when it feels good or when it looks good one time. And your brain is going to be constantly reminded that, hey, when you do this or when you see this or when you feel this, it'll feel good again.
Yeah.
And it makes you want it more. It's the same thing with alcohol or with cigarettes or anything, is that if it feels good, if that one thing is released in your brain one time, it'll go over and over and over again because your brain is telling you that you need it or that you want it. That's literally what addiction is. And addiction isn't always a physical thing. It can be a mental thing too.
I mean, we experience that as adults too. You know, we put a post up on social media and we want to know how many people saw it or how many likes. And
oh yeah,
I find myself doing that with our podcast. You know, I check every week how many people downloaded our podcast because we all want feedback. We all want to know how we're doing, and it just feels good when people give you positive feedback.
It's the same with dating apps, and we'll totally dive way more into this when we do a podcast.
I am so glad I don't have to deal with that.
But I do want to put it out there because it is a part of cell phones. It is a part of that area that has become so new and so encompassing. My generation is actually technically considered the loneliest generation.
Because you can hide behind a
We are the
cell
most isolated generation of people. And it is because our eyes and our brains are so constantly attracted to something that's not a person, but that is the best version of a person that I think that there is. And honestly, I'd love to be able to see the statistics of the time frames as to like when cell phones started to become a thing and how many divorce rates started to go up, because I can't not believe that that's not a part of it.
Yeah.
But we're considered the loneliest generation, and so we turn to things like dating apps. And in my mind, and this might just be my opinion, and that's okay. In my mind, I'm like, I feel like you're counteracting the system. Like the reason that we probably can't find people to date is because we're on our cell phones and not looking at people. But then again, I'm like, oh, well then let's create things on cell phones for people to date. I'm like, just cut the cell phone out of the equation.
Yeah.
That's my beef with dating apps. I don't think they're all bad. I think they're very, very dangerous because I think you can very easily make someone perceive you differently, and you can change the way people experience you in a very poor way. That's my thing on dating apps. But I do have to say, cell phones have become an amazing resource to me and my friendships. An amazing, amazing resource. I have a friend who lives in England, who I met while I was away. And the only way we've been able to keep in contact is through a cell phone.
Yeah, well, that's the way we communicated when you were in Turkey. I mean, the thing that helped us get through that year is FaceTime.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's so many good things in cell phone, in apps, and technology, but we have to use them and not let them use us.
Yeah.
Another thing with cell phones is that you were saying that it isolates people and it makes people lonely, and because it's so easy to text rather than pick up the phone and talk to someone.
Oh, so easy.
I don't like talking on the phone. I'm not a phone talker. For me, it's so much easier to text. And I will talk on the phone, but there's only very few people that I will pick up the phone when the phone call's coming in. Otherwise, I let it go to voicemail, and then later on, I return it or text back.
I'm the total opposite.
Really? I'm
110% the complete opposite. I would so much rather call someone than shoot a text message. Not because of a time thing. I just hate texting. I absolutely hate texting. And I think it's because of that year away where I was so isolated from the world, or my world, which was in Riverside, that I was forced to use things like texting, that I was like, I just hate it. I just want to hear this person's voice. If I can't see them in person, I'd rather just hear their voice rather than read the words that they say. And being a teenager who grew up in the time of when texting started to become a thing, it's just so dangerous. I mean, words get so misconstrued and so, whacked out.
That's why you use emojis.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on emojis. You use them like crazy.
Well, yeah, because that's how you can show emotion via text.
I'd rather see your face or hear your voice.
Maybe I'm like that right now because I'm going through an introvert period.
Period?
Yeah. Most people think I'm an extrovert, but I'm not. I'm an introvert. Like, I can count on one hand the people that I would answer the phone, when I see the call coming. Mom, you, my friend Mike Reisinger,
Bear.
Nick Beckham, and my buddy Rob. That's it. Other than that, I probably would let it go to voicemail. And Ryan, but he just started using a cell phone now.
Yeah, he just started using his phone. I definitely think there's a time and a place for a phone call. I agree. If it's in the middle afternoon, like, there are certain people in my life that I'm like, okay, they just want to chit chat. That's not time efficient or whatever. But there, for sure, for me, are people in my life that I'm like, if I got a phone call from them at 2 a.m, something's wrong.
Oh, yeah. I think that
you answer the phone call for that person.
That's different.
No questions asked.
Right.
But I agree. Yeah, there's a few people in my life, too, that I would be like, oh, cool, I need to pick up the phone. Or there's people in my life that I know live a life or a lifestyle right now that is outside of what normal people do. Mm-hmm. And when they call, it's, okay, you drop what you're doing and you answer the phone call for that person because of what they're going through. So, yeah, I don't think cell phones are all bad. I think they've allowed us to be in communication and and I'm sure for the generation before me, it's been really nice being able to keep in contact with people from high school or from college that you haven't seen in a few years that you're like, oh, but I'm friends with them on Facebook. I can see the birth of their first grandkid, or I can see, whatever. I can see these things for them too, which I'm sure is really fascinating.
I stayed away from joining Facebook for several years, like when Facebook first came out. Mm-hmm. And Mom joined Facebook before I did. And I fought it. And eventually I joined in 2009. And I was mind blown. But that's when Facebook was fun and clean. And it was just for sharing your life. And I think Facebook now has become every other post is a political post. And it's kind of stupid.
Yeah. So to sum up, I definitely want to answer your friend's question about when the appropriate time to give his daughter a cell phone would be.
And I also want to share what I think as a parent, how involved you should be. So go.
Awesome. Actually, you go first.
Okay. So just a little history. Ever since you were little and before you started earning your money and buying your own stuff, I've always told you, you don't own anything.
Yes, whatever you made that very clear.
You don't own anything.
Yeah.
Whatever you have belongs to me and your mom because we pay for it. Your room, your clothes, your phone, anything, until you are able to earn money and buy that. And you knew that. You knew that if you abuse whatever we gave you, we would take it away. And I would have not felt any guilt about that. So I believe that parents, specifically fathers, when they give a child a phone
or anything,
they need to make that very clear. It's like, you abuse this, it goes away. This is not yours. I'm letting you borrow it because I pay for it. And because I pay for it and it's mine, I have the right to know your password. I need the right to know what you're doing. And at any point, if I want to, I can get that phone and know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I can go through whatever. And I think you knew that. I don't think I ever had to do that, but I don't want to bash parents, but I think nowadays there's a lot of parents who just kind of give stuff away, and the kids feel entitled, and we just need to bring the reins back a little bit.
Yeah.
Ever since I remember, all of our family cell phones have been on the same account. Mm-hmm. Well, you're an adult already. You're 21, almost 22, and we're still on the same account. But right now is just because that's convenient.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be the day when you're going to break away and you're going to have your own account, But right now we're on the same account, and we're all able to see where everyone's at with Find My iPhone, just because it's just peace of mind.
Yeah.
And we tell you that even though you're an adult, we appreciate that you allow us to still see you on Find My iPhone, because it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust other people that are on the road, other people that I know are out to do bad stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know you're safe. So I don't know how old the kid should be until a parent doesn't have to check on their kid. But I think as parents, we're always worried and concerned.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, what were you going to say about
I don't think there's really a time frame that you can put on giving your kid a cell phone. I think you need to know your kid. And I think when you think that your child is mature enough to be able to handle the extent of what you're giving them, mm-hmm. that's when they deserve a cell phone. I think a cell phone is earned and not given. I earned a cell phone. It was with good grades and being on time, getting up and doing my chores and having my things in order. I also think giving a kid a cell phone nowadays is a lot different than giving it back when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Because my cell phone didn't have access to the internet. Sure, I could have done raunchy things with it and sent pictures or whatever, or, bullied someone through a text message or whatever. I'm sure there were nasty things you could do, but giving a kid a cell phone nowadays is a whole lot different. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of ways to be sneaky about it. Mm-hmm. For everybody involved. Mm-hmm. That's not just teenagers. That's the world. There's ways to be sneaky about whatever it is you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I would just encourage young women that having access to things like this doesn't mean you have to use it. And having an issue with pornography is not an issue that just men have.
Yeah.
I definitely had an issue with it when I was in high school, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because mm-hmm. it's part of my testimony, and it's ways that I've been able to relate to my, mm-hmm. my youth group and my community group of just saying, like, a lot of women have issues with sexual desires. That's not just mm-hmm. a man thing. And I feel like whenever we talk about lust and the Bible, everyone always thinks it's men. And I'm like, it's not. It's women mm-hmm. too. Like, it's a woman thing too. And we don't talk about it enough. And I'm sure some of you are listening with your dad right now and being like, oh my God, she just said women struggle with porn. It's true. It's out there. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks sometimes, but you move on and you get over it. And you heal and you talk about it and you work through things. But there's always ways to be sneaky. There's always ways to do things that you're not supposed to do. And parents, you have to remember that your kids will struggle. Mm-hmm. Regardless if you think you're the perfect parent or not, your kids are doing something nasty behind your back, because sometimes kids do stupid stuff. And no matter how many times you tell your kid, I did that, don't do that, sometimes we want to have those experiences for ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not saying your kids are imperfect. Please don't take it that way. But there might be the possibility that your kid might be doing something you don't know about. And to be cautious and to tell them that you have the right to see whatever there is they're doing. And it might open the door for some really amazing conversation. Mm-hmm. Have an open conversation about it, and there's healing that comes through it. So just know, ladies, it's not just a male thing. It's a women's thing too. That was something that my youth leader told me when I confessed to it. And she said, this is not just a male thing. This is a woman's thing too. Don't forget that, and don't feel like you're being isolated.
Like right now, I so want to start talking about generational sin and
we'll get there.
And healing and all of that, because I think what happened between us when, like, I confessed to my addiction and my sin really helped you open up about what you were struggling with, right? And but we'll share that when
we'll talk about all of that much later.
We'll share
after
that
we
when
talk about some
that.
other deeper things.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to talk about, because it's about talking about a part of your life that you're not proud of. It's talking about things that still happened, like today, like all around us. It's everywhere, and the temptation is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that you keep your mind in check is really hard. So we'll get there. But back to cell phones. Be careful what you put in your eyes, and know your kid.
Yeah, and use the cell phone. Don't let the cell phone use you.
Wow, you should make a T-shirt. I have a game for you.
You have a game for me?
It's really, really short.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm going to read you 10 text abbreviations, and I want you to tell me what they are.
Oh, okay.
Okay. ROFL.
Rolling on the floor laughing.
Oh, good job. Okay.
I feel like I need to write these down.
LMK.
Let me know.
Yeah, okay. ILY.
I love you?
Yeah.
Why not just use the heart emoji?
Stop it. Okay. I'm going to be really disappointed if you get this.
Okay.
YOLO.
YOLO.
Yeah. Do you know what YOLO means?
Yeah.
What does YOLO mean?
Like YOLO. Shoot, I'm trying to think about it. Like what it is, but
what is the actual abbreviation? Or what is YOLO an abbreviation for?
Oh, you only live once.
There you go. Okay. SMH.
Shaking my head.
Okay. Oh, wow. I was really surprised you knew that. LMAO. You can bleep.
LMFAO?
No. LMAO. Do you know what it stands for?
Yeah. Laughing my bleep off.
Yeah. Okay. Good job. NVM.
NVM?
Uh-huh.
Never mind.
Okay.
That you can also use NM.
No. Okay. IKR.
I know, right?
Okay. And then the last one, OFC.
I don't know that one.
That one is, of course.
Oh.
Okay. Bonus.
Yes.
LOL.
LOL?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Laughing out loud.
No, it means lots of love. Just kidding. That is actually pretty controversial.
Lol.
Lol. At Chris
What
Merrill.
Do you mean?
Lol.
What do you mean it's controversial?
When it first started, people thought it was lots of love, but nowadays it's starting to be used as laughing out loud.
I thought it was always been used like that.
No.
Have you seen that meme where kids are just writing in emojis and it says that we're going back to the Egyptian times when people used to use hieroglyphics?
Hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics to
Oh, that's
write.
funny.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's actually made us dumber.
Text like an Egyptian.
Yeah. Anyways.
This has been the Cell Phones Podcast. Please tune in next week, and we'll be talking about conflict.
Yeah, you know what I want to do too? I want to have a podcast on people asking us questions. Like, I want to put it out there, ask us anything, and then we answer people's questions.
Sounds good. How about episode 10 we do that?
Episode 10. Okay.
We should put our 10th celebratory episode.
All right, we'll do that. Anyways, you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.
This has been the Cell Phones Podcast. Tune in next week where we will be talking about conflict.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Fathers and Daughters Podcast, a Musket Entertainment production. For questions, comments, or topic ideas, email fdpodcast@yahoo.com. Please subscribe and tune in every week for new episodes.